I'm going to help you with lesson number 3, and we're going to be looking at bar graphs. So remember, we use data and bar graphs to compare information. And with this one here, we have to fill in the empty bar graph. So every bar graph needs a title, and luckily with my table here, it already gives me that title. So I'm just going to write in animal classification. Now, bar graphs can go up and down like this, or they can go across. So before you start filling it in, you need to look at how much room you have. Here I have 4 lines, and I have 4 categories. If I look at the total number, this starts with a 0, and I go up to 11. So I'm not going to try and write my numbers up here. I don't have enough space. And I have way too much space for my categories here. So I'm going to do birds, fish, mammals, and reptiles. Then I know now I can fill in the numbers. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So my biggest number is 11, and I know it's going to fit into my bar graph. Now I need to actually graph it. So I have 6 birds. I'm going to go over to the number 6, go up, and color it in. You don't have to color the whole thing. You can just get the gist of it or the idea. For fish, I have 5. Make sure I stop at the number 5. And do that. And if you see, I'm skipping lines between so I can see my graph more easily when it's all finished. 11. And now finally reptiles, I have 3. Now that this is easy to see in a graph, so I have my information in a table and in a bar graph, I'm going to use this information to help me answer the questions. So it says, how many more animals are birds than reptiles? So I know I'm looking at birds and reptiles, and I want to know how many more birds I have. So it's going to be 6 minus 3, and that answer would be 3, so I put my answer here. Here it says, how many birds and mammals are there than fish and reptiles? So I know here I'm looking for birds and mammals, and I'm just going to write a plus sign because I know and is usually plus. And then I'm comparing to fish and reptiles. Put my plus sign again. So with birds, I have 6. With my mammals, I have 11. With my fish, I have 5. And my reptiles, I have 8. Which means fish and reptiles, I have 3. So fish and reptiles together, I would have 8. And birds and mammals together, I would have 17. Now, I'm not done yet. So I need to do 17 minus 8. And that will give me my answer for this problem. So this is a 2-step problem. Below it says how many fewer animals are reptiles and fish than mammals. So I have another 2-stepper. My reptiles and fish. Be 5 plus 3. That would give me 8. And if I remember, I just solved it in the problem above. And mammals would be 11. So here I do 11 minus 8. And that would be my answer for this problem. Now I can write my own question and answer, and I have to use this data to compare. So I might write like which animal had the most in the table, or which one had the fewest. Remember, the most is, this is my maximum, and this is my minimum. We'll get to that in later lessons, but you can write any question you want here as long as it can be answered with a graph. I might say how many more birds than fish, how many fewer reptiles and mammals. It's really up to you. When you go on to the next problem, it's also doing a bar graph, but if you see, this bar graph is going to go up and down. I know because I only have 3 categories here, like my 3 categories in the habitat. So I would write desert, Arctic, and grasslands. And then I like to do, as Mrs. Barone did earlier, write the number underneath so I know exactly what I'm looking at. I feel like it's a little bit easier to solve. So for desert, I have 6. I'm going to draw up to the 6. Quickly color it in. Arctic, I have 5. Quickly color in. And grasslands, I have 14. Here we go. So these are kind of the ways bar graphs can look. We can either have them going sideways or up and down when you're filling it out. You just need to look carefully at how many categories you have and kind of where they will fit on your graph. And again, when you're solving these word problems, make sure you're annotating them and reading carefully, as some are most likely to be more than one step. Thank you for listening.